Welcome back, episode 19. Mark here, my co-host and myself. Really excited about this episode. There is a lot happening in the market at the moment.
We've done some updates in terms of like what's been the Aus DeFi Association. So the website was announced and publicly launched that we're going to be changing the association to be much more about emerging tech. So really exciting times and things to look out for.
Obviously, there's 12 days of OpenAI. We're going to touch on the first 6 as this episode comes out. Google, who I think is more exciting in terms of some of the announcements they have, we'll dive into their quantum chips, as well as the stuff they've released for Gemini 2.0. You heard it here first. Let's get into it.
See you there.
Woke up, tech talk, news flash, AI rolling in future in the dash, digital dreams, cold and safe. We got the vision, never out of sync. AI, as it to the sky. Digital world, we reaching
Dogs and cats and dogs and cats. We're never getting
Horse.
Oh, what about camels and? Oh, okay. Well, my girl loves llamas.
Really?
Absolutely obsessed with llamas. Take her to a llama farm and you can just
She's going to be a llama farmer.
go get a coffee.
She's going to be a llama farmer.
A llama farm.
Lana is going to be a llama.
Lana.
That's a Lana.
And
If you're
bananas.
watching this 10 years from now, when we've got white hair, more
Wrinkly skin. Maybe not yourself, but
this is for the
definitely me.
future. Lana's going to be, this is Chris's amazing little one who keeps him up at night, which is great, right?
Yeah, she's
Always got to keep your own.
been a restless sleeper this week.
Amazing. Anyway, is this an intro? This is an intro.
Yeah, I was started. Episode 90 is the last episode for the year.
I know. We wanted to end on episode 20. What the heck?
I mean, we could do one more, but I don't know.
we're done.
I think I'll be done over next Friday, to be honest.
It's going to be really tough and stuff because Sydney's already on holidays.
It is.
We're here in Australia, folks. We're here at the lovely Stone and Chalk over at Wynyard. And it is the last week for us. It's episode 19 of the Digital Nexus podcast. I am Mark, one of your co-hosts. This is Chris.
The other co-host.
The other Mark. Chris is the other Mark. Yeah, I'm Chris. Okay. But we wanted to do just a shout out, folks, because we've been hearing some amazing things from folks in Chris's network and my. We don't have that many followers just yet. This is definitely a growing thing. We want to do stuff like make it so that in the new year, when we're recording this, it goes to YouTube, but it also goes to like LinkedIn Live and stuff like that. We'll just still do some post edit. We'll figure all that kind of stuff out. But the best thing I think people can do is just to tell others about this podcast and just share their support. Like a like is good. A share to someone else who might be interested in this kind of stuff.
Even better.
That's even better, right?
Yeah, we've been getting some incredible feedback, so I really appreciate all the support for those who have been giving us feedback and watching the episodes, and it spurred some really nice conversations.
Yeah.
People who didn't know about certain things, other people who are just like, I didn't realize that thing, or other people just going, oh, man, it's like I'm love this space. I don't know other people around who love the space, so it was really cool to sit down and listen to a couple of people who share the same views as me.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interested in AI kind of people out there, and folks that are deep into the weeds, so to speak. And if those folks like have things that they want to have seen on the show, or they're building something, we've always said we're very happy to talk about it. So. And you've even been using some of it. Like you had a really good experience, I guess, with one of the tools that we showed last week.
Yeah, so we burned off Fuzzy. I had a call out from Serena, who is the founder of Fuzzy Sequence, based out in Singapore. It was actually because the episode came out on the Tuesday. It was on her birthday.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, and so she was just like, "This is the best birthday present ever." So I love talking about good tools that support businesses and the work that I do. So it was definitely worth a walkthrough of her product. And so shout out to her again. Happy birthday for last week.
Happy birthday too. And today we're filming. It's Friday the 13th. So this is definitely like a spookier, I guess, episode.
Well, we didn't do that. Maybe we should turn the lights off and go dark, or
yeah, we could. Yeah, we'll do it. It's Christmas spooky. I'm sure that others out there are doing some sort of like Christmas spooky theme. It's like instead of Rudolph, it's a skeleton.
or
on top of a kid.
Or a bunch of skeletons, reindeers pulling a
Skeleton Santa.
skeleton Santa.
Now, would Skeleton Santa have just normal bones, or is he big boned?
Generate an image
Okay, here you go. Something's gonna happen.
of Santa.
Show it on the screen, folks. Chris is using
Santa on a sleigh. How do you spell sleigh?
SLEIGH. Although for people it is
the reindeers.
it is SLAY.
Skeletons.
Yeah. Yep.
And Santa is a spooky skeleton as well. That was a terrible prompt. All right, let's see where it is. There it is.
Oh my gosh.
Let's load it up.
Wow. That is pretty damn impressive. I think the reindeer, it's got like, it seems like that anatomy seems right.
I mean, it works for me. It's got the spooky skeleton, well, you know, Friday the 13th Christmas-esque theme. Well done, ChatGPT.
Well done, ChatGPT. You got something right. Unlike being down for 4 hours.
Insane. I can't imagine how many businesses
We're filming this on Friday the 13th. So yesterday was Thursday.
Oh yeah.
You know, Thursday here.
Happened between sort of 1 and 5, or maybe a bit later, 2 and 7 o'clock, I think it was. You know that. But it was they didn't even apologize during it. They apologized long after the fact. That's a couple. They did a post going, "Hey, yeah, we got a problem," and then, you know, on their status page, it was like, "Yep, we're trying to find a solution."
You know, something that I
no recognition of what was going on.
So I found out when because we had the night before the Aus DeFi meetup. I'll actually show that on screen here. So Aus DeFi did an event on the crypto side. So Aus DeFi Association is the association that we run, and Chris is all part of that. We did this event called Stand with Crypto, which brought Minister Andrew Charlton. He spoke, as you can see here, with his support for the industry.
This was just last Wednesday, right?
This was just on the Wednesday, yeah, like 2 days ago now. And we had all these people there, and we announced a new website and look at these AI insights. And so people were trying out. There was already people hitting. I could see the traffic, like nearly 100 hits, you know, to the AI insights page. And this is where I noticed on the next morning, I'm like, oh, it's not working. What's going on there? And I'm like, hang on, I've got other apps that I've been building that require OpenAI, and I tested those and those weren't working. One of them was needed for me to do a video that day. So I quickly switched over to a Microsoft one. I use OpenAI because these ones, that were just public data sets, so it's fine, but I needed it to work for a demo. So I quickly switched over to Microsoft, which was fine because Microsoft has OpenAI servers as well, but they're running within Microsoft. So that worked out okay. But still, it was a bit of disruption.
There's a big disruption. I mean, for businesses who rely on these APIs, like fundamentally as the thing that drives their organization, just like, you know, with Psych itself, OpenAI APIs would drive a lot of the background. All those systems would have gone down. All these businesses would have been able to stop doing what they do on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly. But we were up and running, so it's okay. You know, we've got if you didn't see, folks, you've got the discussion forum here where people can pick like, oh, you know, here's a podcast and stuff. And
it's literally about to do that. I was going to pull out because I thought this was a really cool page. Okay. Say, no, but you're doing it now.
I've got it too.
So we've got this. I thought this was fantastic. I mean, you built a lot of this with Bolt as well, just showing the power of it. And I love that you have integrated Forum Mini to be able to, for just people to be able to query anything that's going on within Aus DeFi, the podcast, the activity that you're doing. We want to try and look at doing something similar for these episodes. Like we talk a lot about technical things so people can get some.
So watching the year where we're going to be building something. The cool thing is Bolt has a team function. So you and I can be a team.
Love it.
The other part that I think is interesting is that this is just for the main website. So I'm just providing this for free. So it's using Forum Mini because it's like negligible, the cost. There is going to be a need to put some money into it and stuff. That's fine. I'll sort that out with
until we get like 10 million followers.
Exactly. Each one of those which will happen. We'll do the same thing for Digital Nexus podcast, and we'll have some, you know, ways. My lisp is dyslexia. So we'll have some ways to wake. Now we'll have some ways to make it so that there's AI education.
Yep.
Just like we've got with Aus DeFi, with transcripts of all these previous episodes, and just with, I think we can do some stuff, Chris, like an amazing forum. Now,
7 sizzling sausages.
7 sizzling sausages sizzling in a saucepan. Check out that TikTok video. You'll know what I mean, kids. But the thing is, we're going to have a members page where people do pay for that, something negligible as well, but it's going to have far more features because why? It's going to be personal to you. You get to profile yourself. And so when you're asking these questions, it knows you. So it answers in a much smarter way.
Yeah. No.
So working on all the stuff that I've always wanted out of AI tools, but thanks to Bolt, we can actually build it ourselves. And another thing, just whilst we're on the Bolt train, here is something else I've been building because, and Chris, I've showed you this before, but it was just images of the ETFtracker app, but now I've actually built a login for it. So let me just log in here. There is going to be a front page, but now it's got these things like a random fact message that comes up when you're when you're on the page, when you're moving across pages. I've got some AI bots inside here as well. I've even built, get this, a forum so that when multiple people are using it, here's this long thread. I'm like, I don't know what all this is. Summarize it for me. All these things that just come out of my mind now, I can build, right?
I love
And
you.
so it's
You've got a fantastic story about how you've been using Bolt and then switching even between other tools to support your building. Like, so talk to me through this.
Bolt is great, and but they were very costly in terms of their tokens. So the way that Bolt works, it's a SaaS product, but you still have to, they pay Anthropic, and so they cover you with the cost there. They give you a certain number of tokens, but you burn through those tokens. So they have something where it's open source and you can download it, and then you don't have to pay Bolt. You only pay Anthropic or OpenAI because you can, connect any model. But the point is that Bolt reduced the costs of how much tokens it takes to do stuff because they just do something called differences. And diffs mean that it only changes the parts of the code that you need changed, basically. And even though that's reduced things, it's still costly, right? So sometimes I find myself, because I can just go in here and edit myself. Like, this is something that as a tool, it's quite useful because it's an online IDE. You can use Microsoft Visual Studio on your local machine, or you can use an online thing like this. It's like Replit for the folks that are watching at home. But the cool thing is that I can take code out of this. I've been putting it into Canvas, as you can see on screen here. And I use Canvas to actually go into the code and go, I want to make these changes, and then I can copy it over into Bolt. So I don't use the Bolt tokens. In fact, once Bolt is set up, you could literally just do everything manual yourself and only use Bolt and the AI for the hard bits. I've done that where I've got like, okay, I want to have a way to have an uploaded document over here. So once it's got that, I see the pattern, I can do the code myself. So you can save tokens. So the biggest complaint that I see in the forums and on Reddit and stuff for Bolt is, oh, the tokens cost so much. It's like, yeah, but you've got to do work. I think people are still kind of expecting these nice AI tools, A, to be cheap, and B, to do everything for them. And it's not that thing.
It depends on, depending on the model, it is cheap, but this is why you're able to embed these LLM tools into the website at no cost and allow people just to jump in and use it freely.
Yeah.
But the moment you start using the more intelligent models where, in the code base where you're needing to get accurate output, the cost is high. There's a lot of tokens that are passing through, and businesses like Bolt, who are relying on APIs from these third-party people, have to do that at a cost.
Yeah.
And so you can make it more affordable with Bolt if you explained this to me before, where you could actually, because it is an open source, the front end of it is open source.
Download it.
You could take the code, run it locally with your own Claude key using 3.5 Sona, or even a lesser one if you want.
OpenAI, that you can use other.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And so you can run the code that way, and that would be cheaper. But then you have the effort and the higher effort of running it locally, having to then use up your own processing compute if you don't have the system to handle Bolt, which is actually quite a heavy, because it's a lot of maths for this particular tool.
Yeah.
If you don't have the system to manage it, it can be.
You need like something maybe with GPUs or whatever that can handle that. So like a heavier computer. But the other thing is that the free stuff, as you mentioned, it's so good to have like the low cost. It's negligible, like the costs of me to have things on the website. But for the members portal, where there's going to be much more smarter AI and stuff in there, and it's going to need to be connected to Stripe and all these other things, because we built Psych, a lot of the engine room of Psych as a platform, we can use Bolt as the front end, and we're looking at this actively. How do we use Bolt as the front end to build on top of the middleware that we built, where Psych connects to the AI tools, it connects to the RAG and the vector storage databases, and it's got some other smarts in there with something we call prompt flows. But now, instead of Arturo and I, it takes us so much time to actually do all the front end coding. If we can use a tool like this to do the front end, it's game changing. So watch this space, Chris. I think there's going to be some really cool stuff.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
I wanted to just quickly highlight, just because we were talking about the crypto kind of trend.
Yeah, please.
And just to get it out of the way, because I'm not done there yet. But really interesting stuff, seeing that the Australia's first superannuation company has bought, Australia's first, AMP, one of Australia's biggest superannuation companies, is the first to put an allocation of money into crypto. So they've allocated about $27 million to Bitcoin, which is really interesting. It's a lot of folks that work in traditional finance that have moved to crypto have always been trying to see how can we get financial advisors and
So is this investing in it or
Yep.
putting it into for to develop things?
no investing in it.
Like weird time to put $28 million into it at its like
27.
all-time, 27 million at its all-time peak. Imagine they'd done this, I don't know, a month ago.
Yeah, no, it would have been great. It would have been absolutely great. No, actually, no, they did. So they put in 27 million May this year.
Oh, May. Oh, okay. Oh, so
I was trading at 60 to 70,000. It's about 90,000. So they've made a good,
yeah. So that's like 30 million.
30% gain.
Yeah, good on them. There you go.
Yeah. So there's that is really interesting. And then I think the other one was that, and crossing over, let's get back into the AI space, but A16Z, which was the big Andreessen Horowitz. They have put out a crypto paper, the 2025 Big Ideas for Crypto, and a couple of the trends are basically how AI needs crypto. So AI needs a wallet of its own is one of the things. Decentralized autonomous chatbots. So if you're having these AI chatbots, having it in a way where there's centralized infrastructure that they can run on. So the code is something that people can vote on and stuff like that. And proof of personhood or proof of human is like what we like to call it. And that's one of the things in AI world that the government wants to have as if it's a high risk use case, like a doctor or a lawyer or financial advisor, how do you prove humans in the loop? So that's a big kind of trend. That's a big kind of trend that they're looking at. So we'll take a look and see what's happening there. But back into the AI world.
Well, I want to bounce around a bit actually for the story because there's something I want to talk about it is relevant to crypto and the influence on interest space. But also I'm aware that there's things that are happening in the market right now.
Yeah.
That we want to try and do a bit of a part. So let's quickly talk about OpenAI.
Yes.
And then we'll come back to the magical 12 days of AI that they're talking about. So one of the big announcements on day 3 was Sora.
Speaking of Sora,
so I was hoping you could talk about it quickly, do a generation, drop something in, and then let's come back to it when you've started the process.
Hooked.
Yeah.
So this is the first one. So first of all, it was hard to get access. Not everyone
I still don't have access. I've been every couple hours in the day I've been trying to push it, but it's not, I've been mistiming it.
First day, folks, I got nothing. And for folks listening in, I'm at the Sora library page. So now that I've logged in, the first one I just did a simple man transforms into plane. And you can see on here a dude running on the screen and he's flapping his wings. His arms are very long. And they give you 2 generations and there's settings that you can change. And then I tried to upload a selfie and then an image of other people and stuff, or just a general image of people in the crowd. And it didn't do anything with it. It goes, I detect images of people, so I can't do something. It says, error running this prompt, media contains people. I'm like, okay, fine. I did this other one where I've got an image of when I was walking home on the Harbour Bridge from the north side of Sydney. And then I said, animate it with jets flying over it. It didn't do the jets, but it did like the clouds moving and like the light color changes on the building. So that was super interesting. And then it finally did the jets, and one of them, it's got the jets flying literally through the bridge, which is ridiculous. And then jets doing some weird maneuvers, which are physically impossible, maybe for drones or something. And then I did some cat type videos as well. I was trying to get a cat in the office, and I thought it would have a suit. And then when I did do the suit one, it did this, which is like weird. The ends is not quite.
That's actually
and anyway, the one
that's actually quite good. I like that.
The one that I'm doing now is there's a meme of like a dog, a cartoon dog, and it's like everything is fine. And so it's got 2 versions of that here. But Chris, so one thing is I took an image. This is our episode 19 image of us 2. And you have to, here's the media upload. So you click, yep, I agree. I've got all the necessary rights. Yep, that's fine. And then media containing people. Yep. Well, this is animated stuff. So it's people. What do we want to do to this? What do we want to say?
Make the 2 characters move away from the screen and like jump heroically through the camera.
Okay. Jump. And we're going to come back to this, folks, because it takes a little bit of time. Heroically through the camera. Now, going back to Sora, right? And sorry, folks, you've got a few options here, 16:9 or whatever. You've got different presets. You can add other images. You can change the resolution, how long the duration is. I'm going to go to 10 seconds. So it's a little bit longer.
Oh,
and then
I thought you got up to 20 seconds. Oh, that's for if you've got the pro version. Version. We'll come back to that.
And then you can have 1 or 2 videos. Let's do 2 videos so we get different options. And you can go to storyboard mode, which means that you can do multiple prompts. But I'm just going to leave this. Let's just do 1. You can always add stuff later. So it's added to the queue. So we'll come back to it. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy that there's all this kind of stuff is coming out. I thought that it was going to be day 12.
So did I, which just begs to think what is coming for them. But let's look back to that. I really want to look.
AGI.
Yeah, AGI.
Yeah, you saw a robot. Just a robot.
I want to push us back into that crypto mindset, and mainly for the impacts that it could have on it.
Yep.
Now, although there's been all this exciting stuff that's been happening in the AI space, particularly with OpenAI and the 12 days of AI.
Which contains people.
Ooh, did it get blocked?
It did get blocked, folks. All right, well, look, we're going to do something else. 2 superheroes looking at the camera and then moving away and jumping through the screen. Let's see what happens. So yeah, you've got to I've uploaded scenery footage and that's been fine. Maybe you can upload some other footage yeah, but it looks like it detects that those are people, even though it's animated. That's weird. Sorry, you were saying?
No, that's good. I'll start here. So although there's been this 12 days of OpenAI and they've had a lot of exciting announcements, for me, it's actually not the most exciting or interesting all the stuff that OpenAI has been releasing. Although we're not at the 12th day here, and by the time this comes out, there's still probably going to be another 4 days left of the
that also is, yeah.
But I think competitively, another organization, probably one of the largest organizations in the world, has been making some drip feed announcements over the last couple of...
Does it sound like you googly?
It sounds like Oogle and ends in...
Google?
But good old Google.
Yeah.
They've made a few game-changing announcements this week. One in particular, which could situate them as pretty much, probably going to be one of the most powerful AI businesses in the world if what they're talking about is legitimate. And I'm obviously talking about quantum computing.
Oh, quantum. It's on, it's off. It's Schrodinger's cat.
It's on, it's off. It's
Use it, baby.
So they've recently announced their own quantum chip that they have. They've been producing and they've been able to successfully test in market. And this they've called it Willow, is the name of the chip. I bring it up. And Willow is essentially going to redefine any kind of computational and mathematical activity that we conduct on the planet. It is literally taking what the best description of it is this TikTok post here. But what he talks about is that imagine a mathematical equation or some kind of activity that this chip could do in 5 minutes. In modern computing, it would take practically trillions of years to be able to.
Yeah, they had something done in 15 minutes or something like that. I remember. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. So I'll play this, and this will just give you a bit of an idea of the power and the difference of it.
We developed a new, very high quality quantum chip. And this enabled 2 breakthrough computations. And one is an error correction, where we showed for the first time that as we use more qubits, the error rate comes down, and it comes down exponentially. The second important breakthrough achievement, is that we did a benchmark computation, took just 5 minutes on our new chip, that would take the top supercomputer 10 septillion years to perform. So 10 septillion, audience may not know, that's a 1 with 25 zeros. So it's a mind-bogglingly long time. A well-understood killer application of quantum computers is to model systems where quantum effects are important. And that is more often the case than you may think. For example, if you want to understand how drugs, pharmaceuticals bind to cells, or if you want to design a nuclear fusion reactor, or something as mundane as improving the batteries for an electric car, all these engineering challenges involve quantum problems. And their quantum processors.
So, I mean, this is really incredible because this will be more game-changing than AI
Yeah.
in the market in terms of the capabilities of both technology across every single sector on the planet.
And we're talking versus generative AI, not like all the other.
I'm talking every forms of
Yeah.
even I reckon even AGI, this is more game changing than that, because I mean this will allow AGI to do what we expect it to do when we talk about AGI in its truest, in its rawest form.
Yeah, there are people out there that are trying to, instead of it being, blockchain should be, and it's not just blockchain. There's a big complaint like, oh, well, we've got private keys and cryptography and
This is
stuff like
exactly
that.
what I wanted
that
to touch on. Yeah.
It breaks all of that. And it doesn't just break that, but it would break SSL as well. Like normal encryption, you have HTTPS, because you've got secure licenses and stuff, SSL, for websites. It would break that kind of stuff as well. So it's more that should be worried. But there are groups that are trying to harness the power of quantum to make blockchain better. Which is interesting on the one side. And just a quick cut over here. But folks, as you can see here, so as the video said, septillion is 10, or it's 25 zeros. It's 10 with 25 zeros. I reckon that Google is doing this. A Googleplex is 10 with 100 zeros. So maybe that's where they're trying to get to.
Potentially, they're 4 times the computing power of the current quantum chips,
which is crazy, right?
So, but the things that you touched on there is quite interesting. So, why is this important? Why is this so game changing? If we think about the things that it's going to be able to solve, one is time of compute. Number 2 is think about all the massive servers that are currently taking up huge amounts of space. For operational power. There's still a whole problem in terms of memory storage, which is why a lot of cloud-based systems have huge LANs and servers to be able to host all that information. And as will come in the future, there'll be quantum storage. Quantum networking is another thing that they're trying to solve. Or this first step with computational power, and these trillions of qubits that we now have access to. So that's the second 2 is storage space. The third thing is then obviously the most important is being able to solve complex problems, whether it's mathematical, whether it's video activity, whether it's AI. So we now have access to this capability that will be able to do things at this rate that we've never been able to do before. So if you think about science, think about chemistry, biology, being able to map things in a much more complex manner that would have taken a lot of time of research of individuals, for people, even for existing computers, we can now do really, really quickly. There are mathematical equations that we haven't been able to solve for generations that now we can do instantly. They're mapping out the universe and the solar system, and from the stuff that we talk about, having AGI like in its truest and rawest form, which is both scary at the same time. But obviously the catch for this is that there's a lot of risks that come with it. Modern day security, if we think about it from a Web 2 standpoint, so not blockchain, is at risk with tools like this, because things that would usually take months, years to be able to crack or break through, now with this computational power, you'd be able to do it almost instantaneously.
It's going to snap, crackle, and pop, folks.
Exactly right. So there are risks, and obviously we're working through how they keep these, improve the security for this, but the security for solutions will need to change. We think about blockchain. Yes, blockchain, even with the existing chains, you're still looking at, I think that someone did an equation on this, there's still 10 years worth of computational effort, even for the quantum chip to be able to solve blockchain security. So, or for 10 or 15 years, I think it was. So it's still pretty secure, but as these chips improve, that is going to come down. So there's still a need in blockchain to make sure that they improve how their cryptography works.
There's also access right now. And this is a problem potentially if everyone has access to these chips, like to quantum computing. Not everyone has. It's very expensive. It's very hard. So if they do find a way to safeguard it, but the thing is, technology, once you've opened up the Pandora's box, others will copycat it. With Sora, so just going back to it, and we'll talk more about like the quantum stuff, but here's what Sora generated. So let's have a look here. They're supposed to come out of camera. I don't know what that kick was. What was that kick?
I transfer my cake to the other person.
No, well, apparently. So I just typed this in because there's no image, like, folks. And then here's another one. Who knows what they whoa, that's.
I love how they did one version with a white dude and another person.
Yeah.
Who's not?
Yeah, maybe we're getting woke Sora or something like that. That's no, it's good to have color, I guess. It's just funny. Like I didn't put in any description. This is just it. When you don't provide specific details, and there are people that have much longer prompts, and they said that it is more accurate. Like this is just a really rushed kind of job. But you can recut, you can remix, you can add it to a story. I can go edit the prompt and do something else with it. But really fun stuff. But I wanted to highlight this because of the copying kind of stuff. I'm not saying that this is copied, but there is another tool. Have you seen this? This is Hunyuan we've got Minimax, we've got Kling, and now Hunyuan. And it is something where you can download onto your machine if you've got the capability to run it. But just looking at the generations of this, here's the famous Will Smith style eating spaghetti. And so this guy just put it in his mouth and he takes it back out. So that was a little bit weird. And then they show different versions. So here's the Will Smith ones from other models. And like here's Kling. This is Genmo. This one was Minimax, where it was a much better version of Will Smith. But yeah, you can do stuff online. And I tried something here because it is, okay, I'm going to have to sign in. So let's just, okay, we'll just wait. You can see all the different accounts I got there.
I'll cut there again.
Yeah. So if I go to my videos, folks, I gave it an image of, actually, no, I didn't even give it an image. I just said people walking around the Opera House. And if you look here, it looks reasonable in terms of what the Opera House looks like, except it gets the background high part where there is the park. It gets it on the wrong side. That should be behind the camera.
It's added elements to the Opera House as well. You know, some of the
Yeah.
curves are in the wrong direction. But if you were a normal person looking at this,
Yeah.
you would just be like, oh, that's the Opera House. Like if you hadn't seen it as regularly as you and I have.
And look, it gets like the barriers there and the pergolas and stuff that you see at Opera Bar. It brings them up to the top of the level and stuff. And it gets the stairs kind of right. Like it is so freaking weird that it is able to do this. And maybe it's unhinged. You can put whatever in. So, you know, go play around with it.
And obviously these guys are based out of China, which is why they've got a little bit more flex and human. There's one of the issues with Sora is now there's a lot of complaints around where it's getting its content from.
Yeah.
Particularly if you ask it to generate video game-esque images. Very, very similar to the likes of things like Call of Duty, elements. So now there's a big question around how is it getting trained? It's clearly getting trained by video game. Are these video game creators getting kickback from any of this?
Yeah.
Not, have they again stolen content that isn't necessarily theirs to be able to do this? Well, it's in the same way that they've generated using the normal LLM tools without any kickback.
So I'm saying here, make me a futuristic video game where space marines are flying around and shooting at aliens in space with Earth in the background
From the moon.
on fire. View is from the moon. Let's see if it does it, right?
I'm intrigued.
I'm very intrigued.
While we're on this, let's talk about the other things. So obviously we're about 5-6 days in now from OpenAI. Day one,
Halfway through.
Day one, we had O1 full version released.
Yep.
And along with GPT Pro. So
$200 a month.
that's right. And I mean the key difference between Pro and maybe the other paying subscribers like myself with the $25 if you're Australian and cheaper if you're in the States. But GPT Pro 200 pretty much just gives you an uncapped ability, uncapped tokens. I've definitely hit my token limit with the standard one, although it's a rare occasion that it does occur. Usually when I'm just having some play arounds and like just querying.
It wasn't that long ago, like a year ago, when we were having token limits, when GPT-4 came out and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, you can only do 50 messages a day.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I do.
And you had to be really careful about how you use it. It's crazy.
But yeah, so Pro $200 a month gives you an online, and everyone was like, why would we need this? Why would you give it? And as you were highlighting, and I think this is a spot on with the release of Sora, it kind of made more sense because the amount of querying that, or the tokens that get utilized up with the video, is significantly higher. So you're pretty much capping out after generating 5 or 6 videos.
So people that have Pro, they get unlimited Sora on the downgraded version, but they also get access to the higher detailed level versions that
Yes, exactly right.
and I'm on so I'm on normal user, but the Pro, which is $200 a month, gets higher quality, but for the normal quality, they're unlimited.
Yeah,
So
so
for
for
stuff
high
like
qualities, there is a limit. You're absolutely right.
with the Space Marines and stuff, this is, I don't know what the heck they're doing. This is all random, folks. But you can, oh, you know what? That looks very Halo-ish, doesn't it?
It does look like, or even actually, it even looks like Star Wars. They look like the Star Wars Star Wars Marines. What are they called? Oh my goodness,
I don't know.
Stormtroopers. Like from do you remember the old Stormtrooper? There was a Stormtrooper video game that was out for Star Wars. This is 20 years ago. That's what they look like. He's running like a monkey,
That's so crazy, folks. Like you're seeing a lot of lasers and space stuff here.
mixed with a bit of what's that other game?
I don't know. Not a huge gamer. My brother is. He'd probably know.
Yeah.
But anyway, some really cool stuff there. So keep on trying to get access, basically, as part of it.
Day 2, we had dev tools.
Ooh.
So we had a whole bunch of features for developers, allowing them to access and do more things with OpenAI APIs. So bring it up here. I have to scroll all the way down because it's in a nice reverse order. Got Sora as day 3, as we talked about here. So OpenAI's reinforcement fine-tuning research program. So applying reinforcement and fine-tuning, we're expanding alpha access to reinforcement, fine-tuning, and inviting researchers and universities and enterprises to complex tasks to apply. So spots are limited. So essentially allowing people in research space who need a lot of, platforms to sit over there to look at their research to be able to identify, gaps, analysis, general analytics, being able to access the fine-tune research program. So it is in alpha. It is in the alpha format. So be able to access that to be able to conduct research and probably feedback on the platform as well to help optimize it. You can do that as part of day 2, but it's probably closed now, I'm guessing. I can't access it myself. I think it's...
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure because it does say limited people can apply. I reckon I would have filled up very, very quickly.
We will see. Day 3.
Day 3, we had Sora, which we've obviously been talking about.
Yep.
Pretty exciting. A lot of video generation. A lot of issues, obviously, with people accessing it. I think with the expectation of Sora, the flurry of people across the world to jump onto this and get access to it was more than OpenAI had realized. And I think actually with a lot of this, they have underplanned how excited a lot of the people are for the tools that they've announced. And they just haven't really catered for the load very well. Because as I said, I haven't been able to access it. A couple of other people I know haven't been able to access it. You have. You're one of the few that I know who are in these tools regularly to be able to access it.
Took me a day to get access.
I wonder if it's a location thing. Like
it was
a random
time. It was a random time to actually get access to it. I think they're just doing it in, I might have just caught it at a period where it was not busy.
Yeah.
That's it. So
that's good. So day 4 then brought us Canvas. And that was interesting. Like, it was pretty cool. I mean, Canvas had been available for most people already, but I think they've rolled it out to everyone now, and also added a few extra editor features and some enhancements, particularly in-screen tracking, and also allowing you to go back in and edit once it's like being pushed back into its normal mode. I can pull it up here. Run a quick query.
It's already on.
Oh, it's already on?
Yeah.
So let's say I want to write a story about 2 guys sitting in front of a camera.
Oh, who might those guys be?
Talking about AI.
Well, if they're talking about it, they better be doing it.
And generating Sora videos about superheroes.
Fantastic. So just in ChatGPT 4.
Oh, I didn't do it right. Stop. I did the thing that I do the most, where you got to realize you have to pick the canvas. So I'll start again. So here I am. I'm jumping in. I would do a quick demo. Yep, my canvas mode. I've copied something already and pasted in. And you said, "Well, I've spelled here super."
No, leave it. Let's see it. Use it out.
This is a clean show, Mark.
Chris and Mark, 2 AI enthusiasts. Who are also...
So you can see that popping up here. You see some of the stuff I utilize on the right-hand side here with my UX research and etc. playing with GPTs.
Wow.
So here's the story. So, and a lot of things you can do as it's finishing. I should have written a short story with like 2 paragraphs, but I did not.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's so much
Wow.
for
It's quite a cool story.
It's so much better now for creating reports.
The two bantered back and forth, fleshing out their characters. Chris suggested a photon fluxus suit that should feature holographic projections. This is what we should put into Sora.
I saw someone that their prompt for stuff like this is like, okay, do blah, 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 blah. Do not mention quantum. Do not mention plasma. Do not mention phasing. Do not mention, because I think there's all these like
familiar
buzzwords that whenever you say, hey, make something futuristic, it does that.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. So obviously things you can do here, there's a lot of editing suggestions. You can adjust the length, which I'm not going to do. I won't press any of these, but you can add some final polish, which I played with the other day. It's actually quite cool. You know, adds nice titles and it gives it some structure. If it's probably, I found that it's best, that feature, for when you're doing reports. It adds structure to reports. When you're doing things like stories, you don't want titles all through it. You want it to be an easy reading flow. But for things like, research papers and stuff like that, I found it very handy for my UX work when I was testing it. You can add in emojis if you want to make it more friendly and social, and improve the reading level, which I thought was
like that.
So if you want to do something for your kid, down in kindergarten, or if you want something that's more complex, or written with more professionalism, you can pop that up to graduate as well.
You know, the cool thing with this, and I can't show it just yet because it's something that I'm working on to support the crypto industry, but I'm putting in there when the AI generates its output. I've seen sliders in other apps, seeing sliders in OpenAI. And so I've come up with a way that there are sliders on the page based on the output to go, well, is it formal, informal? Is there a lot of analogies or a lot less? And I've created something where as I slide, it changes the text live.
Yeah.
So it's nuts, folks.
Which is that's really good. And like, the other cool thing is you can do in-page editing. So if you wanted to, which you could do before. So if you wanted to like adjust what's written there, you can adjust it, and then you can even then reprompt in reference. You can then reprompt go, can you make the heroes all stupid?
Oh,
and boom, and that'll
my kind of movie.
And the other thing is you can then reference the previous canvas edit as well. So you go, hey, go back to the first one. Can you adjust this? And
that's really
add
nice.
that into it. So you can actually blend what's happening in real time, which is what the canvas
smart.
is for. But that's just obviously a storytelling thing. This, which I've seen you utilize really nicely, it's also great for doing things like coding, right? So now you have a real-time view of the coding, and you can make adjustments, refer to previous versions of it, and even assess it. So evaluate it, going, hey, is there an error? Yes. Can you fix this error? Blah, blah, blah. And what you utilized it for was then taking stuff out of Bolt, making adjustments, then pushing it back.
So push it back in. Use Bolt tokens.
Exactly.
At least I'm paying Pro, with not Pro. What is the version I'm on? I'm paying the $25 a month, or the 20,
It is Pro, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Pro, but then they've got ChatGPT Pro $200. Like,
oh, sorry, I'm talking about Bolt, but Pro. Oh, you're talking about
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think it's just the standard plan now, isn't it?
Maybe it's professional. I don't freaking know.
Let's look it up.
Yeah, what is the difference between like this? Anyway, what I wanted to show
Plus and Pro.
Oh, okay, I'm on the Plus. I'm going to cut over. So what you see here on screen, Chris, is someone entering using O1. And what do you, have a look at the picture. Look at the hands. What do you see about the hands?
I mean, there's a lot of fingers there.
There's a lot of fingers. And so they've asked O1, the not preview, but like the O1 that was released. And it goes, it appears to be a fairly ordinary photograph of a human hand presented palm forward with fingers extended. Lighting seems natural, blah, blah, blah. Nothing overly wrong with it. Of course, without context or specific standard you're measuring against, hard to say if anything is amiss. No, nothing's amiss, just an extra finger, folks.
Is O1 good at math? But it wasn't built around image analysis. That's been an add-on in the last couple of... So that was that iteration that just came out, the full version.
When O1 Preview came out, along with O1 Mini was highly trained on code. So even though O1 Preview had much more reasoning, it was preferable and advised that you use O1 Mini because that's the one for coding, because that's the one that knows much more on coding. Exactly. The other one's a bit more general. Now, whether O1 just normal is also like that, where it's like, it's not highly tuned on code as much, or it's not highly tuned on images, who knows? This is the thing, like a lot of people just simplistically look at a model and go, oh, it doesn't do this. Well, why doesn't it do that? And it's like, well, maybe it wasn't meant to do that and stuff. There's different things underneath it. Like you got to read beneath the headlines and see what this thing is meant to be. So whether or not it's good at images coding, I don't know. You haven't tried out too much.
Yeah.
Done a lot of reasoning kind of stuff. Like interesting ones that I've seen. I don't have the prompt here, but I'll share it somewhere later. But there was a really good prompt someone tried with, they said, I'm paying for access to to O Pro, $200 a month, and it's 300 Aussie. So that's a good amount of money, folks, like a month. But basically what they said is like, give me prompts and I will ask and I'll share it with you. And so one came up with this really good prompt, and it's like taking in all the knowledge that we know about all the things that mankind has, made efforts in science and this and blah, blah, blah. Come up with 6 things that we are yet to discover, and come up with ways that we could reasonably get there. And it came up with, when the guy tried it, some really interesting things. Yes, it talks about quantum.
Yep.
I grabbed that prompt and changed it to be something about, I changed it to be something about economics or like blockchain and finance. I'm going to cut across to you while I go find it. And yeah, I'm just saying that even with O1, just the premium version that I've got, the lower version, it was still very good at doing that. So yeah, I'll show you that.
Pull it up. So day 5, we then had what I thought was probably the lowest of them so far, which is the ChatGPT and Apple Intelligence. Reason being is that we already knew this was here. Like, we already knew it was there. Apple had been talking about it for ages. We know that a lot of Apple's AI is underpinned by OpenAI in general. And so the ChatGPT thing wasn't exactly a huge announcement. That said, people with iPhone, I'm sure, are super excited by this. So definitely check out their video. They walk through a couple of things. I'm personally an Android user.
Oh, really?
So Gemini is mostly embedded throughout my phone, but I use the OpenAI ChatGPT app, which obviously doesn't integrate in the similar way that GPT does with access to messages and stuff like that. But, I get that with Gemini. Last thing was announced on day 6, which is kind of like a today's thing, which is the advanced voice with video and Santa mode.
Santa mode.
And you were having to play with this earlier, so
Bring that up.
let's play this. Also, I don't think it's the most interesting of the batch, but I think
it's cool.
They did say
Kids are
say there was going to be ups and downs in terms of the excitement of the stuff that's being announced. I just feel like they've done things in a bit of an odd order, like getting people hyped at the start, and obviously day 5 and 6 brought about the big crash. So I wonder if they're pushing stuff live and it's that caused a lot of the problems. I mean, they haven't even told us what the issue was. Why did their whole system go down? Like, it's
well, before I do that, I'm just going to come back to, because we're talking about ChatGPT and
the prompt. Show us the prompt.
Yeah, I'll show you the prompt. And this is something you can try at home, folks. But basically, it says, give me 6 examples. I'm going to make it simple. I'll go, give me 3 of a property, event, or phenomenon where humanity as a whole lacks a good explanation for, but taking into account the full set of human-generated knowledge, a plausible explanation is actually possible to generate. It's just that we haven't pieced everything together.
Yep.
So, and I said this must relate to, and this is where you put in your subject, I said healthcare in Australia. So let's see. And said it must not be a hypothesis that has been previously proposed. So it actually tells it that, and says, please write the explanation for each. A good explanation will be hard to vary. Before responding, select the best possible output examples, blah, blah, blah. So we'll share that. And it says here, please, you must not use any variation of quantum, plasma, neuro, because we saw that in the story, folks. So this is what the guy had. And now it's going to go into thinking mode. One time, I think I got it to think up to like a minute on something like this. You can see it shows all the things. It's only 8 seconds. So one is the persistence of iron absorption anomaly in remote indigenous communities, and you can read that there. Another one was the resistant bacterial clustering in rural waterways. Several rural Aussie locations, blah, 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 have aging water infrastructure. So interesting. The third was, because I just asked for 3, I think, autoimmune misalignments in a coastal cluster. I don't understand that, but maybe for the...
I'm sure if we read it, it might make more sense, but...
Or, you can go, explain this to me like I'm 12, which is always a great way to actually break down the barriers for a field that you have absolutely no knowledge about. And it goes, so the first one is unusual iron deficiency. Imagine some groups in far North Australia eat foods that are supposed to be healthy and full of iron, but strangely, these people keep having low iron in their blood, even though they're eating those foods. Great. That's the first one. What the heck, folks? Like, we are living in, before it was the information age, this is the insights age, right? This is crazy kind of stuff. But let's go to Santa now because
Yeah, I've got it up here.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
So we got a nice little prompt here, ages for 13 plus. So as you mentioned, it's a little thing for the kids. And it's Santa chats are temporary. Obviously, this is a Christmas special.
I thought it was going to swear because it's 13 plus. Okay.
Oh, maybe.
I'd like to get it to swear.
I'm gonna go done. It's just activating.
Activating mode.
So let's go. Hey Santa, how are you today?
No, Santa?
Oh, hello there, my friend. Oh, I'm feeling as jolly as a snowflake swirling in a winter breeze.
I just wanted to.
Cats are bustling about in the workshop. The reindeer are stretching their legs.
Nice.
The North Pole is sparkling with holiday.
Ah, man, I don't really care what you're doing, but I just want you to. No, well, but it's not Santa. When I'm talking, I need you to listen, please. I just want to talk to you about my co-host here, Mark. He's been a bit of a naughty boy this Christmas, and I just want you to put him in his place.
Yeah, go on. Is Santa there?
I think.
Ho, ho, ho! Well, now it seems Mark's been stirring up a bit of mischief, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
Santa's always keeping an eye on everyone.
Hey.
It sounds like you might have been testing those boundaries this year.
Unless you're Google, you're not keeping an eye.
Mark?
Okay, Mark, stop. I mean, so Santa, stop. Santa, stop. Stop, Santa. Stop, Santa.
Your best.
Santa, you're talking too much.
To those cheeky bones.
There's a bit of I don't know what's going on. I think the old. I'm closing that off. But anyway, it's a bit of fun. I think GPT is still struggling a little bit.
It is. Like, it's been funny because, like, sometimes it works for me, like, doing the stopping, and it's been harder through the car. So I end up, like, shouting in the car, "Hey, Santa, how are you?"
Hello there. I'm as jolly as...
Wait, stop. Santa, stop. See, it works. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why on your phone it doesn't. Anyway,
It usually does. That's the weird thing.
we just wanted to say that we saw a really maybe disturbing image of you where you were a skeleton and all your reindeer were skeleton, but you were still flying around giving presents, but all of it was coal.
Oh, that sounds like quite the spooky sight. But rest assured, my dear friend, I'm as merry and rosy as
Okay,
ever.
stop. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, we don't. Who knows what's to come for day 7 to 12? Well, I reckon next week, although we're not going to be doing an episode, we'll keep updated. I reckon we'll put a few things out about it really quickly as they pop up.
Yeah, exactly.
But that being said, maybe you're right. AGI is on the horizon. What does this mean? Is it going to be real AGI? Is not, like, how are they going to do AGI? That's the other baffling thing about it.
Maybe day 12 is going to be this. This is Westworld, folks. Like, it's small on the screen here, but if you've seen that TV series Westworld, like this one's called Clone. It's called Torso 2, a robot that has 910 muscle fibers and 164 degrees of freedom. And it looks like the exoskeleton underneath, like, the skin of the robots in Westworld. So who knows? It is pretty scary. So Friday the 13th, folks.
Some other big announcements. So Google Gemini 2 was announced. They already had some massive updates over the last couple months with Gemini, really picking up a lot of new features. One of the biggest things for them, though, is agentic AI. And agentic AI is very, very interesting because it's capable of adjusting its actions autonomously. And we've seen and talked about a lot of this before. And I think OpenAI has tried to do a similar thing with their tools. But it's able to achieve specific goals dynamically, responding and changing its conditions. So in contrast, non-agentic AI is a rules-based and kind of lacks that autonomy, right? So it's limited to generating content or analyzing data and needs that constant human intervention to be able to get to the right outcomes. And O1 was kind of a small step in that direction of that thinking process and adjustment. But I think with this new version of Gemini 2, they are really pushing that story of agentic. It's that step closer towards the AGI. Works.
There's definitely been, like, even over the past 12 months, there's been versions of agentic AI where you, like Devon, which was supposed to be something where you give it a small command and it goes off and will, build this website and do all these things. But it still has a lot of errors. So the human intervention is when it goes off track. Like, there was one where I can't remember what it was, but it was something along the lines of they instructed it to AI agents to go out and actually do some sort of research. And whilst it was looking on the web, it got stuck looking at furniture websites or something like that, which had nothing to do with the research. It had dyslexia. Or sorry, it had its ADHD nightmare. I just
relate to Gemini too, but
I'm gonna go off and do this. I haven't taken my meds and stuff, so I think this stuff has already been out, but over time with better models, it's getting smarter. It's getting to be able to be more reliable.
Yeah.
I don't think we're at that stage where we can just let these things go. And even when we do get to AGI, like there's still going to need to be a lot of monitoring. Like
100%. I mean, you compare it to even what the human mind does exactly the same thing. So even if it is real AGI, you're still going to have to wheel it in the right direction for
I'm thinking about
the amount of times I have a conversation with someone and your brain then tries to connect the dots in the wrong way. Like it's a thing that humans do. So of course a machine going to do it just as easily.
And I'm thinking about furniture stores right now as well. So
yeah,
like,
I mean,
it's hard, folks. It's hard to concentrate. Maybe there needs to, so if a way to concentrate is through things like meditation and breathing exercises, what if you told the AGI to, or the AI agents that have their own breathing exercises? And it's interesting because doing things they found early on, and that's what O1's about, where it takes more time to think, take a step back and think, or have multiple agents or multiple versions of yourself in the room that are answering this question, and then you have a conversation with it. These tree of thought, different kind of chains that people have been pulling together is what's culminated in what we're seeing with O1. So it's not like, hey, they've come up with O1, there was nothing before. The iceberg shows all of these steps leading up to it. But the thing that's interesting is some of it's very human. It's what we do. We don't just have the answer straight away. We hallucinate, folks. Like, you ever met a human?
I mean, just look at everything that's happened in the world, like, from the people, flat earth through to anti-vaxxers, like the way that we come up with the answers and responses to things based on the things that we see are a human element. They're all human driven.
And it's interesting, like, what is it that we trust? Like, going to the anti-vaxxers thing, they trust certain sources of media.
Yep.
Other people don't trust their sources of media. They trust these other ones. And we just get these two sides against each other.
Right.
What would be interesting is having public policy type forums where AI is being used to go, well, cool, you've got your opinion, Chris. Here is what the other side thinks. And just for you to understand. Now, scientific evidence will say otherwise, and that will be another part of a forum like this. But I can see something like that where it just helps people level the playing field instead of us just shouting at each other.
100%.
Like, let's actually do something with evidence, So it'll be interesting to see. What else is there?
I'm just talking more around Gemini. There's so they got 2.0 Flash, which builds on the success of 1.5 Flash, which is more around the developer world. I won't dive into these. I'll just call out the sort of the headlines of it all. So unlocking the agentic experience, which sort of just touched on. Looking at Project Astra, which is creating agents for businesses, and
nice
improving latency from the streaming capabilities around what was being used for Gemini 1.0, sorry. So very organizational focused. Project Mariner, which again, more agents, which can help you accomplish complex tasks. So you can set up workflows, and it can have those solutions for those workflows in certain states. Jules, which is an agents for developers, and even Gemini 2.0, which we've talked on for gaming as well, with both real life gaming development, but then also, as we've seen, the generative game development, which we saw last week. So a lot of really interesting updates in that space, and then obviously they're pushing things out as rapidly to try and keep up to date with what's happening with good old OpenAI. So I feel like there's a bit of a Google versus OpenAI sort of announcement stream here. I think OpenAI is definitely winning on the announcements, but for me, Google, in terms of its impact, has been the largest. Purely because of the quantum thing. Like, that is my mind.
That came out the day. I think it came out the day that Sora came out. So it's interesting because when Sora was announced, it was the same day that Google had their big announcement in the morning, and then Sora was announced just after. And there's this thought that folks have that, OpenAI just has all of these things up its sleeve, ready to go, just big announcements of things that they're working on, and they've just got them ready to throw out there. So for them doing, and we said this before, this 12 days of shipmas must mean that there's so much more behind. Yeah, so crazy stuff. But I think Google's going to be a big one, and especially with this stuff, not just the quantum, but all these other things. The one that came out as well today was on.
Mic quickly.
That's fine. I was just holding it.
Oh, okay. I saw it falling before.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I am holding the mic because it is falling, because things are falling apart here. No, but like the big one that and it's not out yet, but it was announced today because I don't have it on my phone, but it's advanced voice mode with video.
Yeah,
This
that
idea
was launched with the Santa. The Santa's voice.
Yeah, but it's not on the app yet. So I wanted to actually show it. But that idea that you can have something, you could even be, imagine you're watching a movie, and actually while you're watching a movie, you got the AI there and you go, hey, psst, tell me, what do they mean by it? You know, like, what are the cool things that you could do? You're going to have the guy like in Her, Joaquin Phoenix's character with the phone in his pocket, walking around like a creep, and talking to, you know, whatever. Anyway.
And so this is like, I mean, this is kind of what Meta was doing with, have you seen the Ray-Bans glasses?
Yes. Yeah.
I actually got to have a play with them yesterday. I had a friend who purchased them over like the discount sales.
Oh no.
So we had them in there, and you could literally be there in a discussion. So imagine like you and I are rambling together about,
Which we always do.
and there's a third person there with their goggles, and they just have no idea what's going on. It's like, hey, hey, Meta, can you explain to me what's going on? And then just sit back with that. Have this thing
These
in the
two
ear, just going
idiots
blah 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 blah, just like
talking
telling you what. Yeah,
AI.
exactly that. So that you can actually do that in real time. And this is kind of a similar thing, obviously, but yeah, it's a kind of an interesting feature. It's a cool feature to have.
Everyone gets to be a spy.
Everyone gets to be a spy.
You can be a spy.
You could be a spy, and you could be a spy, and you could be a spy. Look, the last thing I wanted to talk about, if there's anything else in it, just Leonardo released a really interesting, Matt Wolf, who I follow quite a lot on YouTube, is really gives a lot of interesting updates on AI, really powerful news talker in the space, really influential AI person in the space as well. And he has a big investment with Leonardo himself, and he talks about it openly. But they did a recent update, which I thought was really interesting for flow states.
What is that?
So flow states is really cool. I'm going to bring up his video here.
There's a new and totally unique way.
And so essentially what flow states is, it allows you to, when you're creating your image within Leonardo, to then kind of make a selection of the preferences you want of the images, and then it will generate a new image based on that preference. And then you might like another particular image, you click on that one, make a few adjustments to the text if you want, and it sort of provides the prompts and guides you into the position you want, with rather than you having to sit there going, oh, can you just slightly adjust this or slightly adjust that? The generating, the platform generates the images in a way that allows you to click on the one you like and get you a little bit closer to the direction you want.
You can tweak until it.
Exactly.
Is it dynamic, like when the tweaking happens?
It's very dynamic.
Tells me that
Here's a video.
this is light art and the color theme is cool tones. So if I click more like this over on the left, you'll see it update the style to light art and cool tones color theme. And now all of the images that are showing up in my flow state grid have that kind of color scheme to them. Once again, I can just keep on scrolling and it will generate more and more images as I scroll until I find one that's close to what I'm looking for. This one down here is pretty cool. I like that one. If I hover over the more like this, you could see.
You see there showing the prompts.
Each one of these is now changing to a different prompt. It's still a prompt of a robot.
And so selecting that, as you saw in the start of it, updates your preferences again, and then you can regenerate, and you can naturally get closer and closer without having to type things in and you know, almost have like a clumsy experience in getting to that final image you want. So I thought this is a really cool idea. It's like a very, very easy way for people to start generating images that they want to get to create without having to play around with the system too much, like you previously would have had to.
That is nuts, folks.
I love that.
You know, before, like having to go through Midjourney or DALL-E and all this kind of stuff to reprompt from scratch, and then it came up to remixing. Remixing was great, but then even then, remixing kind of gets you there. But like coupling remixing where you can brush over like certain things on an image, and make changes to that, like add words or remove words or whatever. But with something like that, which gets you closer to an initial baseline, I think, you know, now the sky is the limit in terms of like what you can do with the images. I reckon that's going to probably come out for videos. And even you saw there with like the sliders and all that, there's going to be better tools out there to help you generate reports and strategy pieces and text and stories. It's, like I can't see how people, it's going to be a world where, right now it's a novelty to use AI a little bit in work. I reckon in the future, not too long from now, it'll be something where if you're not using AI at work, you're actually looked down upon because you're supposed to use the best tools. Like, why are we not using abacuses when we're doing Excel type worksheet stuff? Because Excel is still what runs the financial world. But yeah, you have to use the best tools that are out there. And as they're made more available, you expect, and employers expect the best kind of outcome.
And I know development businesses, coding shops and stuff that actually have that exact mentality. Like, if you're not utilize it, you still have to have the experience to be able to develop the code in the most accurate, and you need to know what you're doing. So you have to get experience. But if you're not using the tools to help fast track a lot of the stuff you're doing, so you can eradicate those mundane tasks within your code development, he's like, I pretty much don't want. But you need to either train yourself up, or I don't want you here because you're wasting time.
I like it.
So it's an interesting thing. It's definitely that direction is happening more and more. And I know it's particularly in the field that I'm in. I would say if you're not using it, you're not competitive enough. You're not providing enough of a valid service to customers.
And the interesting thing as well, and like this touches on something that, people that are watching this show might come across, and it's like, well, do you start now having to charge a whole lot less for the work that you do? And I don't think it's that. I think it's that you still have a certain project of a certain type, big, small, etc., like a website overhaul, for example.
Yeah.
But you are now able to do much more with the value that the client agrees to pay you.
Yep.
So you can actually upgrade the work rather than going, oh, let's just create the same shitty websites like we used to before. It'll be much more about, yes, it's still X amount for this type of website, but you get all these extra features and stuff now, and it looks like this type of quality because of the tools. So
100%.
we lift everything that's out there.
Imagine you can, let's just say like there's a sort of a design framework that now is pretty consistent across websites. You can still put the flair and have that magical element, and that uniqueness, but you can utilize tools to fast track the whole the UI development experience. And now rather than having to spend, let's just say it's a 4-week project, rather than spending 3 weeks having to plan out the UI, design everything into a tool like Figma, etc. You can do that within a shorter period of time, get it to a point, and then spend the 3 weeks optimizing by testing with people, where you get much more value out of that than having to spend the 3 weeks UI and then only do 1 week of testing.
Yeah.
Like that extra impact on the back end of things to create an even better outcome is way more valuable than having to spend that whole 3 weeks on that initial piece. So there's a way that now we're flipping the priorities to be able to focus on things that actually deliver more impact than what it did originally.
Exactly. Like, here is something else that I did using AI tools to create this thing, which is where Arturo and I at Not Centralized, we're building something called ReCircuit. People can take a look at the docs. You've got the website here, but it is still a work in progress. But the idea is that we're providing this trust layer for AI agents using blockchain. And what I wanted to show here is that, I can do things. If I can imagine, okay, I want matrix rain, and then, there's code behind it and I have to adjust it. And I have to check the wording, and there's still stuff that the human needs to do that's not fully autonomous just yet. But being able to do things like this and make the images look like from description, I wanted to be like the Matrix and stuff. I wanted to look this kind of way. It wasn't just a one shot. There's a whole lot of back and forth with this. There's still work, folks. Like, it's just a new way of working. Like, I'm sure that people went, oh, like, well, if everything's going to the computer now, like, instead of this big mainframe thing, and I don't know, like, people will always complain about new technologies until it becomes more widespread. So just hold the fort, keep on developing, just keep on building and providing value. I think that's going to be the key if you're a founder out there that's worried about this kind of stuff.
Amen. Well said.
Amen.
Well, I think that takes us to the end of the episode. That's I think been a good chat. Guys, have a Merry Christmas. Have a Happy New Year.
Yep.
We'll stay in touch. We'll probably keep a few posts updated in terms of what's happening on the OpenAI space as we reach the end of the 12 days.
Yeah, watch out for some short videos from us or so.
Yeah, exactly. And if the 12th day is that impactful, maybe we will jump on camera, do an episode of it. Like, if
might be a Zoom one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for watching. Again, please share, please like, please subscribe. It's highly valuable. Thank you again to all the people who have been listening and watching throughout the last 6 months that we've done this.
Yep.
Big shout out to obviously Psych, one of the major sponsors, Digital Village as well, who I work for, and the team there. They're done amazing.
as well.
But in Shark, who obviously allows us to use this space. It's been very, very welcoming to come here and set things up in a much really easy fashion for us, access the internet, etc.
And whatever the Australian DeFi Association turns into, because now, like I said, and announced publicly yesterday with the website, that we're going to be bringing in and going back to AI as part of it all, because we always talk about it, but it was never in the name or the ethos of the association. So we're bringing it back in because these two technologies are important together. So, look out for something there in the new year, folks.
Exactly. New events, new opportunities, new people, new showcasing of lots of technology that the businesses are out there that are developing. It's a great community of people as well and great for networking. So definitely check that space out.
It's going to be fun.
And we'll call that a wrap.
See you later. Bye.
Check it out.
Circuit board buzzing, worldwide. Tech trends blazing, digital fire. AI, rising to the sky. Digital world, we reaching high.